Hello, welcome to For This Reason. I'm your host, Coran Lategra. It is Thursday, June the 6th. And I tell you, we have already 6 months into the year. And, like I always say, when 6 months comes, it's all downhill. And, we got 6 months into the end of the year. So, hope everyone's doing good out there. It's Thursday afternoon. And before I get to my guests, I want to say if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Be much appreciated. And I have another channel called Power in Pounders. You could go to that channel, and I'll put the link in the description box. And then I have another channel called Eye on the Scene. And that's more of a concert promoting type of channel. And the Power and Pounder channel is mainly interviewing drummers and different music artists and so forth. But this channel I launched a couple of weeks ago, and I had my first guest a few weeks ago. And, this is For This Reason, as you can see above my head there. So yeah, go to those channels. I'll put the link in the description, and check those channels out. Subscribe, be much appreciated. So my guest today, man, I tell you, it's been 40 plus years since I seen this brother. And I reached out to him on Facebook, and I happened to see, friend request. You know how you on Facebook. And I looked, I'm like, man, is that Rich? Is that Big Daddy Rich? Because we used to call him Big Daddy Rich in high school. He was a trainer on the football and basketball team. And I said, man, let me send him a friend request. So he accepted. I'm glad. So I want to introduce my second guest For This Reason, Rich Johnson, or Richard Johnson, I should say. He goes by Richard, but we call him Rich. Big Daddy Rich. What's up, bro?
What's up, brother Corey? What's going on, man?
Yeah, I tell you, man, it's been crazy 40 plus years since I seen you, dog.
40 plus. Yeah, 40 plus.
Man, dude, you looking good, man. You look like you can still knock him down on the football field.
Man, I don't know about.
Yeah, Rich was a trainer and helped out with equipment and all that stuff, man. And we used to do a lot of stuff after the games. And we had a little phrase, we spanked that butt, but I ain't gonna say what we used to say.
Yeah,
we spanked that butt, everybody wanted to come to West Charlotte, man, So yeah, we went to high school together in Charlotte, North Carolina, West Charlotte High School, WC. So man, I'm glad I'm glad he had a chance to come on and share his testimony and how he came to Christ and how was that transformation that God did in his life, man. So Rich, welcome to For This Reason, bro.
Thank you for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Now he told me the fellowship that he goes to. I'm gonna try to pronounce it because I kind of messed it up before we started recording. So you know what? I'm gonna try it, and if I mess it up, you correct me on it. So it's Zion Primitive Fellowship. Is that right?
Primitive Baptist.
Primitive Baptist. See, I knew I was gonna get something.
Yeah.
I knew I was gonna get something, leave something out. I tried to narrow it down to where I could get all the words, but okay. Zion Primitive Baptist Church. Or is it fellowship?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So he's a member of that congregation. But before we get into you being a member of that, how in the world did you become a member of God's family, man? What transpired? Were you in the world partying and God just said, I'm gonna call you out of this? What was your transformation? What was your testimony?
Well, it really started from my birth. My grandmother had told my mom when I was born that she said that he's going to be a special child. And so, growing up, I stayed in church. I loved church. I would when my dad was a deacon in the church, and he was the treasurer. He would go by the church, and he wouldn't stop. I'd cry. He would stop the church. The church has kind of been in me all my life, but God dealt with me at the age of 14, and He started dealing with me at 14 while I was in high school, and that's when He called me. And then I preached my first sermon at age 17. And so I've been in this thing a long time,
Yeah,
a real long but it's just been I've had a lot of hands laid on me, and my family is rooted deep in the Bible. And it's just that I've been around older people all my life, and it's just something about church that I just love church, and I did my thing really with someone, but God, He just didn't had grace upon me all this while,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
And then, it's interesting that you say he he knew like the scripture says he knew you when you were in the womb in Psalms,
Right.
man.
Yes.
He talks about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He
Yes.
developed you while you were in the room. He knew you before you even came out of the womb, you know.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
so you grew up elementary, you went to church. Now did you come from a did you have a partying background in between? Did you were you kind of skeptic about your faith? You didn't know where it was going. You just knew that. Because I know for me personally, I went to church, but I didn't know anything about being born again.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Jesus died on the cross for our sins, but I didn't know about, what I know now, what the Bible says, and having that personal relationship. See,
Mm-hmm.
Christianity is not a religion; it's a relationship. So,
Right.
so did you what just clicked as you got older? What clicked? Like, I get it.
Um. I would say I was a normal child because you know my parents they tried to shelter me, but when you get out there and like we get out there and with our friends and whatnot, and I did the weed and all that kind of stuff. I did all that, did a little
Yeah.
drinking and whatnot, but the kicker for me was that I was coming home from school at West Charlotte, and I was tipsy. I was high, and we was coming walking down um, Southwest Boulevard. Some guys asked me did we knew they were gonna race,
Mhm.
and they wanted to know if I wanted to get in the costume. Nah, man, I ain't trying. I'm going on home. So it was two cars, and they raced around Southwest Boulevard and just flying.
Yeah.
So by the time I got down to the corner of English Drive and Southwest Boulevard, you remember there was a house right there on the corner, and both cars had crashed into one car had crashed into a tree, and the other car had crashed inside the house,
Wow.
and there was about total 8 people dead on one spot, you
Wow.
know. Um, and the policeman came and he knew my dad, knew my family, and he took my head and put it in the back of that car, and all I saw was blood natted face. That's all I saw. He said,
Wow.
"You could have been just like that." And so
Wow.
at that point, that's when I put the alcohol down. That's when I stopped doing smoking.
Wow.
No, and that was God's grace, man. That was nothing but God's grace.
Yeah.
You know, nothing but His grace, man. And I tell
So
people, grace is nothing but unmerited.
yeah.
That's what grace is.
Yeah. So you actually was supposed to be in that car.
I was supposed to be in that car.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you said no.
yeah.
I'm going on home.
Bro, I'm going home. I ain't trying to hang. I'm already tipsy,
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah. So I'm like, man, I'm going home. Then I didn't go home. I went to one of my friend's house. His son, because he knew if I'd have went home, my dad and probably would have killed me. You
Yeah.
know, because they didn't play that. So he called him and told him I was gonna spend the weekend. That was on a Friday. I was gonna spend the weekend with them until I sobered. You know, he came to me sober. He talked to me. You know, and I always would thank him. You know, for that. And I even went to church with him that Sunday. Um, and came back home this Sunday afternoon. But right then, when I saw that man, that changed my whole perspective.
Yeah.
Man. Mm-mm,
Now,
no,
how old were you when all this was happening? Were you in college, or were you in high coming out of what? How old were you?
we was at West Shaw.
Okay.
I was coming
Oh,
home from
okay.
West
So
Shaw. Yeah, I was at West
you
Shaw.
were at WC at this
High
time.
school.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I was at West Shaw. Yeah. Mhm.
Wow. Wow.
I was I think I was in the some 10th or 11th grade. One of those two.
Okay.
I think more or less I was in the 10th grade.
Wow,
10th grade.
man. I'm
Yeah.
surprised I didn't I could have probably heard about that. I'm trying to think because did they go to WC or no?
Um,
Or was it just people from the
I don't
neighborhood?
know. I don't even know. It was white guys. I don't remember seeing them at school.
Okay,
And
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
walking. They go, man, we gonna wreck it. They were drunk and I was tipsy. We just
Yeah.
some stuff,
Okay.
and some drinking, whatever. And but at that point, that was
Wow.
it. No more, no more. Mm-mm,
Wow, man.
no.
So the police came and he saw the blood on your face and he was it the police or your dad that came?
That was the police. The police. His name was Officer Simmons. He came to the scene and saw me. I'm standing there. I'm just looking. I'm standing there looking, and he saw because they was what happened was the police was chasing them because they were speeding,
Mm.
and he saw me standing there, and he said, "You supposed? Were you gonna try to get in the car?" I said, "They asked me," and he pulled me and put my face inside the car, and all I saw was I couldn't even recognize who the boys were. I
Yeah.
just saw blood in their face. All I saw.
Wow.
I saw.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow, man.
Yeah.
So from that point on, you were like, man, God, you just saved my life. You know, that was the wake up call right there. That accident. Wow.
Down through the years, I've had a whole lot of health problems, and God has kept on proving Himself over and over. Because in 2018, I was in the hospital with double pneumonia, and I was on a ventilator for 9 days.
Okay.
I was, on life support for 9 days,
Okay. Wow.
and God brought me out of that. You know,
Wow.
so
Wow, man. When
I,
you
I I've been through a journey, Corey.
yeah,
I've been through a journey.
yeah, yeah. Now, when did you meet your wife? How did that come about?
Um, well, we're not married yet, but like I said, I was in the nursing home in Mooresville,
Okay.
and I the Lord told me to reach out to her,
Okay.
and because I was in a situation where I had nobody to help because the church I was pastoring at that time, they decided when I'm trying to recoup and trying to get better to go back to them, they decided to vote me out.
Oh, okay.
And they said, well, either I resign or they're gonna vote me out.
Okay.
And so the Lord just told me that I was hurt the way it happened. I had been there 31 years.
Oh,
Um and at 31 years you're gonna treat me like that,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you're gonna wait there, get on my sick bed and then just let me go.
yeah.
So the Lord had me reach out to her and you know, And at that time, I was still technically married, but at that time, her son, he called and cussed me out. And then my stuff, I was living in the church parsonage.
Mm,
And instead of, he was supposed to get her stuff, I was bring it to Charlotte, but he left my stuff there. And the church wouldn't give me opportunity to
mm.
try to find somebody. I'm a man with one leg. There
Yeah,
wasn't much I could do.
yeah.
So instead of them trying to work with me, they let folks come in and take everything. I lost everything.
Wow, wow,
I
wow,
lost clothes, books. I lost everything.
wow. So when did you decide to go into the ministry? I mean, was it? I mean, when God just called you to Himself, when did you decide to go into pastoral ministry? Did you go to like
I
seminary, or how did that? How was that?
no, I had some seminary training, but when I preached my trial sermon, that was in 1980, 80, 1980.
Mhm.
And then in 84, I was ordained to go to be an assistant pastor at New Jerusalem Primitive Baptist Church here in Charlotte.
Mhm.
And I stayed there for 8 years. And then in 1990, I was called to go up to Hall's Chapel Primitive Baptist Church in Salisbury. And that's where I was until from 1990 till 2000 and 20. So
Mhm.
I was there 31 years.
Wow, man.
So I started out real young, or I'm real young.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Wow, that's awesome, man. I mean, God had his hand on you the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So he called you into
Yeah.
pastoral ministry. So unfortunately, once they voted you out, where did you go from that?
Well, I was in a nursing home. What did I could do? I was in a nursing home because
Yeah.
the way it was done was not right because the trustee called me and wanted to know if they could have a meeting about fixing up the property on the roof on the church and the parking. I told them yeah, and I sent them an email letting them know that I'm letting them do this till I return. And so they turned that whole meeting around to a meeting about me, which was not legal because at that point I had nobody, I couldn't be there, and I had nobody to speak for me.
Yeah.
So that meeting was legal. But one thing that came out of all this was that everything I have now, God has made brand new.
Hmm.
Um, you know, a new relationship. Um, I have and this is maybe even closer to God than I've never been before. Um, and the apartment I'm in right now, I'm the first person to walk through the door.
Okay.
Brand new apartment.
Okay. Okay.
Everything now. I'm in a new stage. A new
Yeah.
development.
Yeah.
And it's like me and God has a new relationship now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome, man. That's good to hear. And health's doing okay.
it's getting better. I still got a lot of health issues, but I'm getting stronger every day. I'm walking on my prosthetic leg. Um, I'm I'm walking. I'm doing things. I'm able now to go out and I can sit in regular chairs. I catch the cat bus and go where I want to go.
Yeah.
So I'm doing things better now.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear. Yeah, you look good, man. 40 plus years,
Yeah,
they changed much still.
yeah. I'll be 61 in July. So yeah, I'm just hanging
Woo!
in there, man.
Woo, man.
61. Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I never got a chance to go to any of the reunions. I
I haven't
I
either.
missed all of them. So,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
so now that as you see this, I like to call it chaotic, man. What encouragement words can you give to people who don't know God? if somebody came up to you and said, Rich, I'm just kind of like I'm on my wits end. I'm thinking about suicide. I'm thinking about this. What can you encourage them to give? Because unfortunately, the world we live in right now is just it's just gotten chaotic, and you have someone that's just reaching out, down on their luck. You know, they have nowhere to turn. Everybody's just. What can you say to that person or those people that need to hear a touch from God and they need to hear God's love?
I would tell them to, first of all, I would let them know that I recognize what they're going through because I've had those same feelings, those same thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
those same suicidal thoughts. But you got to give God a chance to prove himself. You got to give him a chance to prove himself. You know, even though it's hard, but you got to trust him enough to know that if he brought me through it, he can bring you through
Mm-hmm.
it. And your life is worth saving, but you got to give God a chance to prove himself. And what we do is when we tell people that we can't walk away from them, we got to stay with them,
Mm-hmm.
help them. A lot of times we tell them, just trust in God, and then they don't see us no more. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
that's not the right way to go. If you're gonna tell somebody like that, you've got to stay with them, keep up with them
yeah.
to make sure. Because at this point they're vulnerable. They need somebody to right there for them. That's to me, that's what ministry is all about. It's not you can tell somebody, that's like telling a man who's hungry, I'll pray for you. Well, the prayer is fine, but the prayer ain't gonna fill him up.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
got to go feed him.
yeah.
You know, and so a lot of times I would tell people, trust God, and let me help you. Let me help you find your way to trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would kind of hang with them until I see them kind of coming out of, where they could be able to kind of stand up on their own.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
just don't leave them high and dry,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
Not to mention, there's a spiritual battle going on. You know,
Yeah,
Satan
yeah.
doesn't want you to come to Christ. He doesn't want you to have any. He wants to keep you in the gutter and keep you where you're at. And
Right.
and God sends us out to share and to witness to people and you know
Hmm.
and so yeah, man. I mean, this world it's not the world that God planned it to be. People say, "Well, where's God
Right.
in this? Where's God in that?" He's here. He's there. He's like you say. You just gotta just believe and just know that He's gonna
Hmm.
see through whatever hard times. Because everybody has hard times, man. I always say non-Christians and we're all alike. Christians and Christians, we're all alike. We go through issues. We have problems. Our problems are no different than the non-believers. People think, oh well,
Hmm.
just because you're a Christian, so that means everything's walk through the tulips and peaches and cream. No, no, it's not. We have the same, but the difference between a non-believer and a believer is that we know who we could trust to get us through that because he went through those things. Jesus went through the same things that we have
Hmm.
are going through. And so
Hmm.
this is our message to the world. It's like we're no different. We ain't holier
No.
than thou art. We go through issues, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, people think, oh, Christians are just what's the phrase? They're so heavenly minded that they're no earthly good, which is not true.
Yeah.
I'm sure you
Right.
probably heard of that phrase. You know,
Yeah. It's so heavily bound that earthly good. Yeah.
yeah, and
Hmm.
and and, and it's like we just have a message. It's like we use the analogy of a doctor. If somebody's got cancer and if the doctor knows a cure and he knows the cure, but he's not going to tell you. Well, why?
Hmm.
You have, spiritually speaking, it's the same thing. We have the cure that you could be saved. Salvation is through Jesus. So that's our message, man. And you know, our issues are no different than somebody that doesn't know God, man. What
Mhm.
does it mean to be born again? What the Bible speaks about, you must be born again. What does that mean to somebody to come to you and say, Rich, what does being born again mean? I don't understand that phrase.
hmm it means that you have to be what the Bible says. You have to be born from the inside out.
Mhm.
You have to be born of the Spirit. Your thinking has to change. That's what Paul talked about in Romans. That you present your body as a living sacrifice, and be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You gotta have a different mindset.
Я так устал бежать от тебя, и нет слов, чтоб тебя оправдать. Без тебя в моей жизни нет огня, без тебя нет сил, чтобы встать.